Signs you are never in love. In this video, I'm going to tell you the truth about your very own feelings, or the feelings that you think that you have. It's Sabrina, your personal love advisor from A New Mode, the channel where we show you how love actually works. Okay, so I get a lot of questions that sound something like this. My boyfriend or my ex-boyfriend or the guy that I want to be my boyfriend treats me terribly, he's mean to me, he ignores me, he blocked my number, he is disrespectful, he cheats on me, I just found out he has a wife. So what can I do? How do I get this relationship back on track? How do I fix things? And usually my answer is, this sounds awful. Why do you even want to fix things? This sounds pretty terrible. And what do they reply with? But I love him. Or I'll get messages that say, I'm so obsessed with this guy, I can't stop thinking about him, I can't sleep, I can't eat, he's all I think about. How do I move on? And I'll ask, well, what's stopping you from moving past him? What's stopping you from moving on? Because I love him. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching, because this applies to you too, this is not what love looks like, this is not what love feels like. And it's not your fault that your view of love is so cockeyed, and it's not, I mean, I'm not just talking to you, I was once in the same boat. Look at the way that love is presented to us in media, in songs, in movies, in television. No wonder we're all completely confused about what love actually is. So in this video, I'm gonna clear up the confusion, and I am gonna tell you the signs that you were not in love, even though you may have thought that you were. And I'll tell you what to do about it. So make sure you watch this video all the way until the end. Real quick, if you like this video and find it helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more relationship advice. And if you have any questions, any feedback, leave it in the comment section. I read them all and I try to respond to everyone. Okay, let's get into it. Number one, the relationship moved at lightning speed. If you become completely enraptured in each other, completely obsessed with each other, you're saying I love you after only a few days or after only a few weeks, that's not love, that's infatuation. Infatuation literally produces a chemical reaction in your brain. You become flooded with dopamine and norepinephrine, and this gives you a feeling of being high. You feel sleepless, you feel energetic, you feel focused, and especially focused on the object of your desire, which is the guy that you're with. He's basically all you can think about. You're completely consumed with it. But if your relationship moves at lightning speed, then how much can you really know about him? True love builds slowly over time. You can't possibly love someone within such a short time frame. And usually those relationships that get off to such a roaring start, they usually fizzle out pretty quickly because love builds slowly. So if you were in a relationship where it went super, super fast and you felt like, oh, this must mean that we're meant to be, but it didn't work out, he broke up with you, he ghosted you, whatever, realize that it probably wasn't love, it was probably infatuation. Number two, you're in love with the potential, not the reality. What are you so invested in here? Is it the guy or is it the potential of what could have been with him? A lot of the time we meet a guy and we click and we really like him and we become so obsessed with the potential of what could be, of where this could go. Because we finally found a guy we really like, and that's so hard. It's so hard to find a guy you really like and he's paying attention to you and he seems to really like you. So you completely let your fantasies get the best of you and you just run with it and you think about how happy you could be together. And yeah, you could totally see him being your husband someday and the father of your children, and he's so great and you guys have so much to talk about and you have so much in common and you really get along and you click and it's amazing, amazing. But then he just leaves. Why? Because you guys were in two totally different relationships. You were obsessed with the potential, and it's very easy to project your wants and fantasies onto someone, especially before you've really gotten the chance to know them, especially before you've really been in a relationship with them and seen what you guys have and if you have something real. So you get so invested in that and you think that it means that you love this person, but again, you didn't really know him yet. So when he pulls back and he leaves, you're just completely distraught, you're completely devastated. But ask yourself, what are you really mourning here? Is it the loss of him or is it the death of the potential of what could have been? Number three, he was scratching an emotional itch. Okay, we're gonna get psychological here for a minute. A lot of the times the devastation we feel when someone leaves or we experience this unrequited love or what we think is unrequited love is really just the loss of what he represented to you. If you fell for him super fast and felt that obsessive pull, what was most likely happening is he was fulfilling some sort of emotional need for you, an emotional need that you might not even be consciously aware of. It's all about your subconscious and your subconscious fulfilling its needs. A lot of the times we are drawn to people who remind us of our relationship with our parents, or mostly our relationship with our more difficult parent. Or you could be drawn to someone who reminds you of a traumatic relationship from your past. So we're drawn to these people as an attempt to rectify those pains from the past. Maybe you feel like if this can work out, if it can work out with this person, then maybe it means I really am worthy of love after all. Almost none of us get out of our childhood feeling completely emotionally whole, feeling like we got all the love that we needed, that all of those needs were fulfilled by our parents. And so we try to rectify that by seeking out people who remind us of our parents. And it's not conscious. Whenever you meet someone, we're analyzing so much data all at the same time. Sometimes you can meet someone and you've barely said 2 sentences to each other and you are just so locked in on him. And it's because you're noticing the way he stands, the way he speaks, the way he uses his hands to gesture. And something about his demeanor sparks something within you, and all of a sudden you feel this pull of, I need to get to know this person even more. That's your subconscious at work. That's your subconscious pulling you towards that person to fulfill something in you. So this theory was developed by psychotherapists Harville Hendricks and Helen LaKelly, and they actually wrote a whole book on this. It's called Getting the Love You Want. It's a really great book. If you want to learn more about this, then I would definitely recommend that. So they designed this therapy called Imago therapy. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that right. And that is to address these issues of basically going after the same type of person over and over again in order to rectify these pains from the past. And according to their theory, that's why we're going after these people. It's to repair these old wounds from our childhood and to get the love that we wanted in childhood, but we didn't get. We also might choose partners because they allow us to vicariously experience repressed parts of our personality. Maybe you're super shy and introverted, so you're drawn to the super outgoing, extroverted type of guy because that's completely opposite of you. So the point is, it really is our subconscious mind at work. So when you feel that obsessive pull towards someone, especially when you don't even really know them, it's most likely your subconscious at play. So a good example of this could be your father never made you feel like you were good enough, and you felt like you experienced a very conditional sort of love from your parents. You felt like you were only loved if you behaved how you were supposed to behave, if you did the things that they wanted you to do. So you might seek out relationships with guys who make you feel like you're not good enough, who make you feel like you need to be a certain way or do certain things in order to gain his love. So that's how you can see this type of thing unfold. Number 4, you don't have a meaningful relationship with him. If all you have is flirty banter and surface level conversation, again, that's not real love, because real love is about knowing who the other person is. If you're not talking to him every day, if you're not having meaningful interactions with him, if he's not sharing his true self with you, being open and vulnerable with you, it's not love. That is you falling in love with the idea of someone, not with the actual person. Love is about being seen and known. If you don't know him, you can't possibly love him. Number 5, you can't be yourself around him. One of the best parts about being in a loving relationship is that you can just be. You don't need to constantly monitor your behavior. You're not afraid of tripping some imaginary wire and then that's it, the relationship just goes up in smoke. You don't feel like you have to walk on eggshells. You don't feel like you have to read and reread your text messages before you send them because you're scared that one too many emojis or one too many exclamation points is that's it. That's gonna make him be scared and run away and never want to talk to you again. That's not what love feels like. With love, you can just be. You can be your authentic self. You can share your emotions and your vulnerabilities and your hopes and your dreams. And you do this without fear. You do this without fear of losing him or him losing interest. You can just be your true authentic self. You can't be yourself with him, then most likely this is not a true loving relationship. And most likely what's going on is it's you chasing the guy, hoping to get him to feel a certain way about you. Number 6, you're in love with how it used to be. So this is another common thing that I see come up a lot, and this is definitely something that I experienced in my life. So you are in a relationship and it's pretty horrible. You are at the point where you're like, okay, this is terrible. We don't get along, we fight a lot. So why do you stay? You stay because of how great it used to be. And that's what you're holding on to. But as I said earlier, the beginning of a relationship is just an illusion. Your brain is literally flooding you with chemicals. You cannot see things clearly. It's only when you're past that beginning, intense, infatuation period where you get to a point where it's real. Now it's real life. Now we can see how we actually get along, how we actually interact, how we actually communicate. So if it's bad now, then that's the reality of your situation. You can't hold on to how it used to be because the beginning is just an illusion. And that's what keeps us stuck. We think, well, he must have loved me because he was so great to me in the beginning. Yeah, he was great to you in the beginning. He was trying to win you over. Of course, he was on his best behavior. You can't judge someone on their best behavior. I mean, my toddler sometimes is on his best behavior, but that's not true to his authentic self. His real self is when he is with mommy and feels comfortable and feel like he can completely be himself and all of his lunacy comes out. Because when we're with, and the funny thing about children is they say that that's a good thing when a child misbehaves at home but behaves outside of the home. That's actually a good thing because that means that that child feels very secure and feels very loved. So it's really a good thing if any of you have toddlers and they act out with you, but they're perfect angels at school, that means that you're doing a good job. But that's a side point. You can't hold on to how things used to be. You have to look at what you have right now. Look at the relationship you have today in this present time. What is that relationship like? If it's not working, then you need to realize that and accept that and stop holding on to something that was never real. Number 7, you feel anxious, on edge, and just plain awful. Why is it that we confuse these horrible feelings with love? Okay, I don't know why I asked that, because I know the answer. The reason is because we're told that love is supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be filled with obstacles and drama, and it's supposed to be really tense, and you're supposed to feel terrible, and you're supposed to cry, and you're supposed to fight for it. That is not love. That is entertainment for the sake of making movies, because true love is pretty dramaless, and it's pretty boring. I mean, honestly, it's not boring, but it just comes together pretty easily, pretty effortlessly. When you love him and he loves you, it's just easy. It's just nice. It just feels good. All of these painful emotions are your body's way of telling you that something isn't right, that you need to leave, that this is not healthy. Maybe it's a toxic relationship. Maybe it's just a relationship where he's clearly not on the same page as you. You feel it in your gut. Sometimes it can manifest as physical ailments. You have insomnia, you have hives, you feel nauseous all the time. You just feel this knot in your stomach. These bad feelings are not love. That is a sign that you are in a relationship that is not right for you. When you are fixated on someone, your relationship isn't about enjoyment. It is an unhealthy obsession. You are trying to force something that just clearly isn't working. Ask yourself right now, how do I feel in this relationship? How do I feel about myself? How am I being treated in this relationship? Listen to your body, listen to what it's trying to tell you, and recognize that relationships aren't supposed to feel bad. Love isn't supposed to be hard. Okay, so those are the signs that you were never in love. So now what do you do about it? Let's say you are in this situation where you love him, he seems to not love you, or you think you love him, maybe you realize you don't love him, but you still are having a hard time getting over him. Well, for one, I do have a bunch of videos on how to get over an ex and how to move on if someone doesn't like or love you back, so definitely watch those next. But I wanna end with a tangible action step that you can implement today to move on. So that would be, stop telling yourself that you love him. Stop speaking that into reality, because words have power. And when you tell yourself that you love him, you are giving yourself permission to act in all kinds of irrational ways, because you love him. We're allowed to do crazy things for the sake of love, right? That completely gives us a free pass to act however we want. So yeah, cry about him for days, obsess about him, talk about him nonstop, stalk his social media, stalk every single girl that he talks to on social media, go down the rabbit hole of stalking her and finding out her whole life story, and then stalking the other girl that liked his picture, or whatever it is. Love gives you permission to act crazy. It also may cause you to just keep reaching out to him. Gosh, I got this message from a girl the other day, and she was saying, you know, this guy, we had such a great relationship, everything was great, and now he blocked me and he's ignoring me. So I created a new account to message him so that I could write him another love letter and express my feelings. This is not rational behavior, but this is what love causes us to do. We think, okay, I just need to try harder. I need to push a little bit more. No, that's it. If you realize that this is not love, you're not really in love with him, and he's not in love with you, then stop speaking that into reality. And maybe you still believe that you're in love with him, but if he's not giving you anything back, then it's time to move beyond that. And the way you do that is to stop telling yourself that you love him. Replace the language. Replace it with something else. I'm fixated on him. I have an unhealthy obsession with him. I am curious about him. I am trying to understand him. Eliminate the I love him. It also just makes it so much harder for you to get over him if you keep telling yourself that you love him. Okay, so that's that. Those are the signs that you were never in love. What did you think about this list? Did you agree with the signs? Did you relate to any of them? Let me know in the comment section, and let me know if there's anything that I missed. And leave your questions, feedback. I love hearing from you guys. If you liked this video and found it helpful, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel for more relationship advice. And for more, check out anewmode.com. Follow me on Instagram @anewmode, and I will see you guys in the next video.